Pleasure to take part in this debate this afternoon, and education should be the great ladder of opportunity in our society, the surest way for a child, no matter their background, to build a better future. But in Wales, that ladder is harder to climb than anywhere else. In all the various areas where the Welsh Government is underachieving, education is perhaps the most dire and the most depressing, because they are not making sensible decisions that will improve the problems, because their priorities are entirely in the wrong place. And as ludicrous as it is to say, they barely recognise that there's a problem with how things currently are. But things are bad, very bad. And the fact is that egalitarians wrecked the education system, which ironically has made the education system far more unequal. Britain had some of the best state schools in the world. Yet today, after decades of so-called progressive changes, we now rank near the bottom of Western Europe, with Wales making up the poorest performing out of that cohort. And I think we can already predict the response from the Cabinet Secretary, which it is to accuse the Welsh Conservatives of doing down our schools. But to make it clear, I hold the leadership in government wholly responsible for our children being let down so badly. Children today grow up in a Wales where they are likely to achieve poorer educational outcomes than their parents, and that is unforgivable. The latest PISA results tell a devastating story. Wales now ranks the lowest out of all UK nations in maths, reading and science for the 5th time in a row. The lowest performance ever recorded. That is not just disappointing, it's a damning verdict on a quarter of a century of Labour control of our education system. We cannot keep pretending this is just about funding or circumstance. It's about choices, political choices, that have valued ideology over evidence and complacency over accountability. It's about devolved governance that has dismantled traditional knowledge in literature, history and exams, that has sought to reinvent the wheel when it comes to teaching children to read and write, abandoning traditional teaching methods, which has caused irreparable damage. It's a devolved government that has waged war on meritocracy and which doesn't measure success by exam results, which has utterly failed to react to growing violence and disruption in our schools. The result of this kind of leadership is 20% of pupils leaving primary schools functionally illiterate and many more enumerate. The damage caused by disrupting learning during the pandemic has also left thousands of young people with a lifelong handicap. These are problems which require whole-scale reform and a complete reassessment of the Welsh Government's priorities. This is not something that hiring a few more teachers will solve. But what we see in our classrooms today is not the fault of our hard-working teachers. They are being badly let down by a system that no longer supports or protects them. Behaviour has worsened, violence is rising, and respect for authority has collapsed. And nowhere is clearer than that, as Sam Rowlands has already mentioned, at Flint High School, where teachers have now entered their 7th and 8th day of strike action, not over pay, but over bullying and pupil behaviour. Imagine how desperate a situation must become for dedicated educators to walk out simply because they no longer feel safe in their place of work. As my colleague Natasha Uskar, has mentioned earlier today, every teacher deserves to go to work free from fear and free from intimidation. This crisis of behaviour is a symptom of a deeper failure, a failure of discipline, of standards and of leadership. So our motion today offers a serious plan to put things right, a plan that puts pupils, parents and teachers back at the heart of education in Wales. We are calling for more rigorous inspections to restore discipline, so bringing a knife or a weapon into school means automatic exclusion, not endless excuses and apologists. And we want to ban mobile phones in classrooms, which I have called for in this chamber for years, which was repeatedly and dismissed by the Cabinet Secretary for Education. We also believe in teaching phonics, because reading should be taught with evidence-based methods that actually work. If traditional teaching works, then there's no reason to try to fix it. Deputy Llywydd, this is more than about boosting statistics. It's about restoring hope The belief that every child in Wales can achieve something great if given the right tools. It's about providing a better education to the next generation than the previous one received. And it's about giving young people the best start in life, giving them the skills, knowledge and structure and discipline. The status quo is failing. Wales's younger people deserve better than what they were getting. So I urge all members to vote with our motion tonight and begin to rebuild an education system that we can all be proud of.
I call on the Cabinet Secretary for Education, Lynn Eagle.
Diolch Dipro Llewydd, and I welcome the opportunity to talk about education in Wales and our shared commitment to doing what's